There's just so much damning information in this video. I think we got Joe Rogan, we got a Veritas report, we got Ron DeSantis, we got RFK calling out Fauci for having some ailments from the vaccine, unfortunately. But all while celebrities and media were deifying Fauci. It's just ridiculous. Remember when they turned Fauci into a sex symbol and deified him? Look at this. Look at this ridiculousness. You can now buy underwear with Dr. Fauci and Andrew Cuomo's names on them. If you ever wanted Dr. Fauci, Andrew Cuomo, or Gavin Newsom's name on your underwear, your wishes have come true. That is just absolutely ludicrous. Just absolutely ludicrous that anybody would be engaging in this sort of behavior. It's just so ridiculous. I can't even put it into words. And then here it says, Jesus, this Fauci guy is a dipshit narcissist from Wilford Riley, who's also written some great books you can check out probably on Amazon, did a Zoom call with a whole host of movie stars and athletes organized by Kim Kardashian. And here's the list of a bunch of these celebrities. These aren't even all the people he's spoken to in the past, but there's quite a few of them there. And it's just a little bit ridiculous. He's obsessed with the attention he's been getting from people. And, as this comment on the right says, why are there NBA players invited to this? You got Kevin Durant. You got, who else is on here? There's Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade. Those are all basketball players. What do they have to do with the health of the nation? It doesn't make any sense. It says here from Alex Berenson, Tony Fauci's diary is embarrassing beyond belief. His March 2020 entries are mostly pasted articles about him and comments like, I am becoming an international celebrity. Actual epidemiology, like the fact that IMHE estimates were hugely wrong, never comes up. He had no idea. True story, bro. The saddest, most interesting tidbit in the Tony Fauci diary is this. In July 2021, my Twitter feed had faster information about the collapse in COVID shot protection than Tony, and thus the White House. He didn't know what the Israeli data meant until mid-August. It says down below from Mary Talley, it's called willful ignorance. Okay? Mel Gibson had road rage. Here's a celebrity that I really didn't like Fauci very much. He had a road rage listening to RFK Jr.'s book about Anthony Fauci. I've read that one as well. I highly recommend it. So let's see what he has to say.
This is what we were talking about before, that there is good and evil.
Yeah.
And sometimes it manifests itself in a very clear and obvious way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what that was. That was evil. That was putting people's lives second and putting money first.
Well, I don't know why Fauci's still walking around.
How is that guy still walking around?
I don't get it.
If just people understand the history of the AIDS crisis and what that guy did back then.
Did you read that book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the book. I listened to it.
Yeah, I did too.
I drove up to San Francisco, and I listened to it, and I had road rage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, whoa, how is he still there?
First of all, people that don't believe it, how come RFK Jr. didn't get sued?
Yeah.
How come there's no lawsuits?
Mm-hmm.
If there was lies, there would be lawsuits.
No, but that's right.
He would be publicly humiliated. Instead, they kept that book off bestseller lists. That book sold millions of copies.
I know.
They hid it. That's when you find out that bestseller lists are actually curated. It's not really bestseller.
Yeah. It's censored. It's all censored.
Yeah.
Everything's censored,
But that book is an accurate depiction of what Anthony Fauci did during the AIDS crisis, which probably was an AZT crisis.
Yeah,
and more than it was an AIDS crisis.
I mean, it's fairly incontrovertible now that he was fooling with gain of function.
100%.
And why is he still around?
Right.
Or at least free.
Right. And no repercussions.
Yeah, whatever happened to that story where, the wombat and the weasel got together and they were horsing around and a bat pissed on him with a golden shower.
Yeah.
It's like, and all of a sudden it was in a wet market.
Yeah.
Very wet market. You got,
complete total horseshit. And
totally.
The scientists that we're supposed to trust were pitching that horseshit.
It was like the AIDS thing. Some green monkey bit a Qantas Stewart on the ass. Then he went around the world and got everybody sick. And it was like, ridiculous.
If you want to go through the AIDS rabbit hole, look up a guy named Peter
You guys can check that out. Then Ron DeSantis says here, badge of honor, proud to have blocked local governments from enforcing Faucian edicts on their citizens. Government, it says here, for Fauci from August 7th, 2021, Governor DeSantis is a complete disgrace. He is blocking the local authorities from mandating masks in various locations, including schools. So Fauci's very often about that. And then this guy, Phil Kerpen, says, that's why we love you, Governor Ron DeSantis. So, and then Julie Hamill has this here that's pretty funny. And then one other one from Benny Johnson. Dr. Fauci had a diary entry showing himself fighting off Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, depicted as deaf. This did not age very well. Yeah, that's really weirdly inappropriate. But he had this in his stuff. It's very, very weird that he kept things like this. I guess that other people made, since his last name's spelled wrong. But it's very weird that Fauci was keeping these sorts of things in his journals. It's extremely, extremely unusual. All of a sudden, Elon Musk has started to viciously attack me. This is another person that, has a bit of a celebrity status, Elon Musk. And he can't believe that Elon Musk would say negative things about him. Many people are coming to my defense on tweets, and some, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, are approving of his tweets, although Mark Kelly, astronaut, tweeted that I funded gain-of-function research that killed millions of people. Elon Musk targets Anthony Fauci in viral tweet, drawing backlash. It says, my pronouns, it's in small print at the bottom there, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. He's reshared that one a few times too. It's a big deal to him, as it should be. And then Glenn Beck has this, Dr. Fauci's diary is proof of a man completely drunk on his own celebrity.
Because he's an out-of-control egomaniac. When you get into this part, understand this is the main thing you have to know about this guy. And here's why. He is the wrong kind of, he has no humility in him at all. And so when we had a law that said you can't do this, he felt he was right. And so he was going to do it anyway. And come hell or high water, he would find a way to do it. And then he covered it all up. So the guy who is literally, I believe, responsible for millions of dead, one guy, and it's Fauci, and anyone else that was in on this project with him. But Fauci knew it, and he just felt it was too important to let the law stop them. So he found a way around it. Now, if you think that's bad, listen to some of the things that he said in his diary about his fame.
Gosh,
it's grotesque.
Yeah, if you even just leave out some of his personal phone calls with people like Barbara Streisand and how he's convincing her to get an mRNA vaccine. Oh, and another little anecdote about how he's teaching Barbara Streisand how to use the Alexa device. He's also saying things like this, quote, one person said that Tyra Banks was sexy, but that I was even more sexy than she was.
Oh, my gosh.
right.
Oh, my goodness.
Gosh. Yes,
He should start it. Another 1,200 dead this morning. But, they said that Tyra Banks was sexy, but I'm even more
But
sexy.
on the bright side.
On the bright side, I'm the sexiest man alive. I mean, it's horrible.
And following up with that, quote, I kind of feel like I should say Dear Diary. Quote, Dear Diary, press still hot and heavy about me. Multiple stories per day, directly or indirectly involving me. Oh yeah.
Gosh. Oh my God.
It goes on. Multiple entries like this. Where
he talks about, and I got a siding phone call today. They asked me to be on Dancing on with the Stars. Can you maybe pay attention to the millions that are dying? I found some other ones here, Jason, that, the press doesn't have yet. Deaths just crossed 70,000. Tragic, of course. But on a lighter note, a woman in line in the pharmacy recognized me and started crying. Not from the virus, but because she was meeting me. I signed her N95. She said, I'll never wash it again.
Wow.
Let's see.
That is so unbelievable. The level of narcissism. To actually say one of those things, then the next 70,000 people passed away, but at least I got someone. At least somebody talked to me. At least somebody recognized me as a celebrity. Oh my goodness, Fauci is full of himself. I can't even wrap my mind around that. level of self-centeredness. It's unbelievable. But yeah, check out the rest of that video from Glenn Beck. That's interesting stuff. And then it says here from Rand Paul, the more we uncover, the clearer it becomes. Anthony Fauci put protecting his reputation ahead of protecting the American people. Here's this article from Miranda Devine. Anthony Fauci was the big head of COVID response. And he used to talk a lot, but not so much anymore. His narcissism got to him. The vanity of Anthony Fauci will be his undoing. Until now, the deceitful health bureaucrat's reputation has remained intact despite damning revelations about his attempted cover-up of the origins of COVID-19, suspected involvement in outsourcing dangerous research on bad viruses to China, and mishandling of the pandemic. But days before Fauci has to again face his nemesis, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, so this is obviously written a few days ago, his excruciatingly embarrassing diary entries have turned him into a laughingstock. In a bombshell data dump Saturday, Paul, chairman of the Senate's Oversight Committee, which will grill, by now he's grilled him. Anyways, well, let's see what it says. What he wrote privately and what he told the county are two different stories, tweeted Paul. Who has long accused Fauci of being involved in the virus creation. Fauci emerges from the diary entries as a frivolous narcissist, possibly corrupt, and a really bad speller. For example, dissuaded instead of dissuaded. Wow, that is a really bad speller. As the global health toll mount, Fauci's diary shows he was increasingly preoccupied with his rising media profile and reveling in the admiration, especially the praise from celebrities. Right? All of which he meticulously recorded, flattered by praise. Much praise to me, he gushed on March 4th, 2020, after recording 108 cases of coronavirus in the U.S. and 10 deaths. Everyone in the White House is congratulating me on the piece, fawning political profile of Fauci. The public adulation of me has been amazing, with every young intern as well as seasoned veterans in the White House coming over to me, congratulating me, and thanking me for my work, and even asking for selfies. Man, that's just messed up. And he's talking about, this is the one where he talks about, I think, the Fauci 5. He wrote, big day, USA equals 2,888 cases with 58 deaths. I did all 5 Sunday shows today. My third Fauci 5. And this week on ABC, Meet the Press on ABC, Face the Nation on CBS, Fox with Chris Wallace and CNN. So he's bragging about achieving the Fauci 5, going on every major Sunday talk show. Unbelievably arrogant. We're not going to read all of this, but you should check it out on the New York Post. It's just disturbing. Like, this guy's level of narcissism is really awkward. Here we have Robert F. Kennedy just obliterated Dr. Fauci for lying about the COVID vaccine, getting a pulmonary side effect and hiding it from us.
Is this massive dichotomy between what he was saying privately and what he was simultaneously saying publicly. He says in his diaries on January 30th that the Wuhan lab could not possibly be the source of the virus.
Oh, we know that was all
and
false.
then, well, we all know it, but now his diary, he says he knew that, and yet for 2 years he told us that
But
was
he was
the case.
he was given a pardon prospectively from the last administration. We don't know if it was an auto pen pardon. It doesn't really matter for legality purposes, but Americans want to know, a lot of them, is there going to be any accountability for trillions of dollars lost, children's education destroyed, and public health industry reputation shattered?
Yeah, and millions of people injured. You know, he lied about masks, he lied about social distancing, he lied about the transmission, he lied about natural immunity, he lied about the capacity, as you just said, of the vaccine to prevent infection, He got vaccinated at a very, very public press conference in January of 2020. And then 5 months later, he had, and this is the first time that we knew this from the diary, he had a pulmonary infarction, which is one of the adverse events that NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anybody. He got treated for it privately by the best doctors in America. At the same time, he was telling everybody that that was not an adverse event.
Is there anything else we're missing from these diaries that has not been released that you can share with us tonight?
I don't think, I mean, I have to say a lot of this stuff is in my book, but based upon other documents. But there's something very dramatic, even for me, of seeing him write it in his own journal, confessing to being wrong, to lying about all
Also
this
loving his own press. I mean, they're going on and on. I'm the most.
Is this?
Yeah, and regularly bragging about accomplishing the Fauci 5, going on all 5 Sunday talk shows. The guy is so unbelievably arrogant. Again, only talks to a professional about medical advice. But RFK had some interesting things to say there. So, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, for the YouTube mods, we're not giving anybody personal advice. Fauci got vaccinated at a very, very public press conference, and then 5 months later, he had a pulmonary infarction, which is one of the adverse events NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anyone.
Billions of dollars lost, children's education destroyed, and public health threat.
Well, that's pretty much the same video as we just watched, I guess. But it is really unfortunate.
Public press conference
I remember
in
that.
January. NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anybody.
Never told anyone. Here's another thing from Data Republican, another great follow. Pretty obvious what's going on with Dr. Fauci and, by extension, the entire deep state bureaucracy. They have constructed for themselves a fantasy world where they heap praise on each other and receive continuous validation through awards, grants, and media interviews. All you have to do is attend the right universities and give the right people grant money. If some of the money happens to be dangerous viral research in China, well, why wouldn't you want to build international relations plus prevent a future 13 monkeys? They are never guilty because accountability does not exist in this fantasy system, only accolades. They get the thrill of validation every time they make an impact in the real world, such as shutting down schools or churches. Your suffering does not register to them because you do not register to them unless you have an award, publicity, degree, or money to offer them. Reminds me a lot of a documentary I watched about China, talking about how they called up this guy that was, torturing the Falun Gong, and he was bragging about it, telling everyone they should call him the Butcher. It was really, really uncomfortable. Here's another article another post from James O'Keefe with Dr. Anthony Fauci back in the news and testifying before Rand Paul's committee. Recall this investigation we did. Project Veritas obtained never-before-seen Department of Defense documents regarding gain-of-function research, the concealment of documents, and the suppression of potential COVID-19 treatments, according to Project Veritas 2022 reporting. The documents contradicted Dr. Fauci's testimony before Congress. And then, we just found out his own journals on government computers also contradicted Fauci's public testimony. But it's a good, interesting stuff here.
Project Veritas has obtained never-before-seen military documents regarding the origins of COVID-19, gain-of-function research, vaccines, potential treatments which have been suppressed, and the government's effort to conceal all of this. Dr. Anthony Fauci has testified many times before Congress stating that the U.S. government was never involved in gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Will you today finally take some responsibility for funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. First of all, gain-of-function is a very nebulous term.
But the thing is you're still unwilling to admit that they gained in function when they say they became sicker. They gained in lethality. It's a new virus. That's not gain of function?
According to the definition that is currently operable.
We're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
You have said that I'm unwilling to take any responsibility for the current pandemic. I have no responsibility for the current pandemic.
That assertion is based on the NIH's definition of gain of function. However, the documents we've obtained refute that. The documents in question stem from a report at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, better known as DARPA, which were hidden in a top-secret share drive. But what is DARPA? They are an agency under the U.S. Department of Defense, which facilitates research and technology with potential military applications. Dr. Stephen Walker was the director of DARPA at the time of the EcoHealth Alliance proposal. A source sent us this video of Dr. Walker talking about research they were exploring related to mRNA technology and its potential application with military personnel in the field.
DARPA, about 5 or 6 years ago, we stood up an office called the Biotechnology Office, and the real purpose of that was to understand how biology works and then design, build, and test cycles where you could engineer microorganisms.
That stuff's super interesting. You can check out a lot more of that on randspoilerreview.com. You can also check out a lot of the stuff from James O'Keefe. He's got a lot of articles on. Oops, that didn't load for some reason. He's got a lot of articles on here. He's got other posts. You guys can check this out, and so on. They just scrubbed the diffuse proposal from Wikipedia's lab leak page very recently. Of course they did, because Wikipedia is completely corrupted. And then another last one from Vigilant Fox. Megyn Kelly reads 2 damning Fauci diary entries that gut the natural origin story he sold the public for many years, right?
Fauci knew in January of 2020. January. The COVID pandemic hit America the middle of March 2020. He knew in January that the, quote, market was not the source. It was the amplifier. He wrote in his diary on January 26th, now we know the market was not the source. It was the amplifier. So he knew that. Then we get to February 1st, 2020, and 12 scientists and he get together. Only 2 concluded this had a natural origin. Per Fauci's own notes, quote, the rest felt that deliberate insertion was possible. Deliberate insertion of the cleavage site, basically the piece of the COVID virus that made it more transmissible and more deadly to humans. It was man inserted. They could tell.
Wow, they knew. And they knew all that in 2020. I mean, a lot of people had their lives ruined for a couple of years. Couldn't go to school. Businesses failed. Just absolutely horrible stuff. But yeah, check out Megyn Kelly and the Vigilant Fox on a couple more great sources I look at regularly. Okay. And yeah, but thanks. Like, comment, share. It's huge for the algorithm to make those comments, good or bad. And have a fantastic day.